All right, so the challenge of building a social app. Okay, so how I became a developer. So at the age of 16, 17, I was I lived in New York, went to my high school, Martin Luther King High School. Yeah, they changed the name. Don't worry about it. And I had my first hand on IBM punch card machine, and I was just thrown. My mother wanted me to go to New York School of Design, and I wanted to go to New York School of Technology. And we're talking in the 80s. And so over the years, I mean, I got pregnant, had a child, um, children, lived in Germany, and just so happened that that's how while living there, I bought some computers, built them, and gradually, over time, just got into computers. I became this geek with the floppy disk. Nobody believed, I mean, when I tell people about the floppy disk and how it used to make this whoop, 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 whoop sound, and that was like one of the things would never think it would change the way it is now. And so I learned, I got hired at a company that did some software support for pharmaceutical companies. And so I learned SQL, SQL. I taught myself HTML, created websites. Created the first website called African American Literary Forum. And the reason why I did it because I was trying to find books on Amazon, and everybody know Amazon search is like the worst. It has not changed. But I was trying to find books for my kids, so I created a website so that when I find books, I can put it on the website because I can go back and buy them later on. After doing that, I got fired from my job at the company called Cinnavant, which was like a software company, a proprietary software company. Got fired from there, and I think I celebrated when I got fired. And landed up working as an admin assistant for environmental company. From there, I was standing online at the IBM. I was standing online at Apple Store, met this young guy, decided, and I asked him, I said, how he became a developer, well, how he got money. Because I would say $800. Black folks don't give their child $800, but this boy white. But I still had to know why the parent gave the boy $800. So he said he earned it. He created an app, taught himself how to code on YouTube, and I turned to my husband and said, that's what I wanted to do. So over that time, I found a way to learn Objective-C. And when I learned Objective-C, I created a Domestic Violence Act in 2014. And so the question is why I decided to create the Domestic Violence Act. So a friend, the tutor that was helping me, suggested it. And I, at that time, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just, when he suggested it, I just broke down and cried because I'm a child of domestic violence. So I see my mother, my aunt, and my sister got abused by men. And it wasn't something that I could protect them by. And so when building that app, that's how it came to me, and that's why I said, well, let me work on building this app. And so I started building the app January of 2014. And so, and let me explain to you the statistics of them. This is just a little bit of the statistics of domestic violence. As 137 women across the globe were killed every day by intimate partners of relatives. So this is global. And I didn't want to go just local, but I know globally the numbers are, for us, it's a definitely bigger number. And it's broken down by each individual, by male, by sex, by race, by life, by culture. And so another thing is about 87,000 were killed worldwide in 2017. 58% of them victims of domestic violence and family violence. So domestic violence is huge. And people don't take it seriously unless it's, let's say, celebrity, sports star, an actor, are victims of domestic violence, and they become huge in the news. So, and that's the only time you will see that the attention is there. So, how did I create the app? That also, it was a very emotional thing about building that app. Because I had to realize what was the most important thing a victim should have in their hand. It shouldn't be something complicated. It should be very simple, easy access, and an abuser cannot know that she has that app in her hand. Those are the things that were very, very important to me. And I'm the only one doing this, and I'm the only one trying to figure it out. So I had to take it as I am the victim and I am the abuser. Now I know as a victim what I had to deal with. Okay, so I'm already been insulted, embarrassed, humiliated, degraded, and then financially no money coming in, none. Then I have to think about it as an abuser. I'm gonna track that heifer everywhere she go. I'm gonna know where she at on the computer. I'm gonna know where she at when she go to the food store. I'm gonna know how much money she spend. I'm gonna know everything about her. I'm gonna track her in the car. I'm gonna track her on the computer. She gonna tell me everything. So I had to be that conniving, low down, dirty person, which, you know, sometimes we have to do sometimes when people fuck with you. But I mean, so that's what I did. I got to low of the low. So I knew that she can't be on the computer. The cookies. To this day, you still got cookies. I don't care what you do, even on iPad, iPhone. I know if I say, oh, I saw this website I need to go back to, it's still there. They have how the system works, still don't understand that, you know, they even ask you, you have to accept a cookie. And so not realizing if you are a victim of any sorts of abuse, or stalking or anything, those are things that they can track a person. Then you have to think about I had to think about the law. Domestic violence law is no joke. Seriously. An abuser can tell her, you can't take my kids. The law said, and you find out the domestic violence law say, oh yes, you can take your kids as long as you can show that there is proof that he's abusing you. Pictures, police report. There was a situation as far as employment. A woman was working here in Georgia, state of Georgia. She works, she have a job. Her husband was abusing her. And so he knew where she worked at. So she had to quit her job. Because if she didn't, he would find her and he would track her down and abuse her. So she told her employer, I have to quit my job. My husband is going to track me down and he's going to hurt me. He may try to kill me. So she quit her job, applied for unemployment. They denied her the unemployment. She sued them and won her case. So the law changes when a person who's a victim say, well, the state of Georgia said, as long as you notify your employer that you are in an abuse relationship, you can quit your job and we will give you unemployment. That law changed just here in Georgia maybe a couple of years ago. So the reason why, you know, when building that app, that's how I had to do it. I had to think about it in that way. I had to think about, okay, so another thing is social media. I had to give them the information for social media in that app. It was just that important. That was, no matter what, you could change your name, change the email address, and he still can find you and get access to your password, not only get access, and then take over it. Seen that happen too many times. Another thing is that I had a good friend. My mother was in a very abusive relationship, to the point where my sister, I was living in Germany, and my stepfather came home with his friend, and my sister and her son was there. And he told my mother why his lunch wasn't cooked or something wasn't cooking. My mother said, well, you didn't tell me he was coming home. And he started to beat her in front of my sister and in front of his friend. And my sister took a knife and stabbed him. And they rushed him to the hospital, and the police asked, do you want to press charges against your daughter? He said no. My mother, who was a victim of abuse, told my sister that she had to leave with her son. And my sister was homeless. Another situation is that I had another friend who left her relationship with her man, and I told her not to tell him where she lived at, because she had moved to another apartment complex. He found her, and he started to knock down the door of a house while she was on the phone with me. And what happened was that I said, call 911, and I called 911, gave them an address, and while he knocked down the door, he was beating on her as the cops came in. Another friend I worked with, Katina Jordan. That girl right there, I love her to death. She worked her ass off. She'd be in front of the copy machine with 6-inch heels, standing there for hours. Like, girl, don't that shit hurt your feet? Girl, no, just like working in some slippers. I'm like, girl, you crazy. Bought a house. Just got a house. I told her, the law in Georgia is, if a person lives in your house for 30 days, you cannot evict them unless you file for eviction notice through the court. That's just how Georgia works. So I got my damn 32-year-old daughter and her 4 kids. I can't get them out the house unless I give them an eviction notice. That's a pain. That's crazy. But that's just how it was. She decided to let him move in with her. Her excuse is, I need somebody to help me watch the kids. She met somebody that showed her how to be treated, how a woman should be treated by a man. She then tells him that he has to go. You have to leave. You would never have thought that he would have shot her in her driveway dead, and then get into a car and drive off. And that's how domestic violence had affected me in my life. So, building the app, I did the research. I needed to know what resource we needed to be added to the app. So I added shelters. And I'm going to tell you something about the shelters. There's a website that lists all the shelters, claim to list all the shelters in Georgia. They do not list all the shelters in Georgia. People were contacting me, because I have my email into the app, contacting me left and right. This shelter's not in there. This shelter's not in there. This shelter's not in there. So I had to, every time when they gave me it, I would add it up and add it in there. Domestic violence law, keeping safe, social media, and I have a quiz in there. So if you're a victim of domestic violence, the quiz, you answer all the questions in the quiz, and it'll tell you if you're in that area as a victim of domestic violence. The quiz was probably the hardest thing I did. At that time, there wasn't, when I was searching Google, and I mean I searched Google for coding for quiz in Objective-C. It was none out there. And that was like one of the hardest things to do. So I went through the Atlanta iOS Developers Group, and the 2 guys that were the organizers of the group, one of the guys, I think it was Rusty. Rusty is no longer here in Atlanta, but he's still up there. Rusty tried to help me. The quiz still didn't work. The quiz still did not work. So I found there was a female iOS developer. She's no longer here. She's in Texas. And I explained to her how the quiz should work. How about she worked no charm. It was a charm. And I think it's because she, as a woman, understood why the quiz had to work and how it should work, because you were a victim of domestic violence. The design, this is the design of my app. So the one in the middle, that was like my first design. It was called Purple Pocketbook. So everything Purple Pocketbooks, I put all the little graphics in there, make it all pretty and stuff. And then this one over here, that's the actual first design too. The pocketbook with different shelters. Now, if a man go in that app, this first app, they would see all them pocketbooks. They wouldn't even read it. They just see color, purple, red, orange, green. They be like, oh, this ain't important. And so the new app, I made it this way. So it's Pivo now, because I couldn't use the word purple pocket anymore. I was, how would you say, was an infringement with Allstate Purple Purse. They contact me and say I was infringing on the name. So I had to change the name. And I told him, I said, hey, listen, I contacted y'all because I wanted y'all to check out my app. And the guy was like, y'all didn't check it out. That was a year ago. And now you're reaching me and telling me I was infringing on your name. So we had to change the name. Don't tell me it's that my daughter. She's going to have to wait. Yeah, my daughter. She got to give me a second. Let me open up my garage door. Ain't going to take me but a second. Because I know that's what she's looking for, because she came to talking about she in the house. She got to get something to eat. There we go. Okay, open up the garage door. I open it up now. So that was the design of the app. And the reason why I designed the app this way is because I didn't want it to attract the abuser. It was very, very important that the abuser look at this app and said that it's not for them. It don't have no information in there for them. And it looked like they were shopping. You see what I'm saying? So, that's what the whole design was. So, for example, you can see where I put the telephone numbers in for Georgia Hotline and National Hotline for the first one. And this one, I just put a national hotline with the phone number because there was people that was telling me that gives it away. It was giving it away. So I designed it to just where it would just have the phone on there, and they just clicked on it. Now this is the actual, when you go into the app, this is what it actually looked like. This is the new version of the app. So I wanted to be where they have to put in the code to get into the Pivo one. So when you actually download the app and you see this, it's going to ask for a password. It'll tell you to create one, then you create one. But then every time you go in it, it's going to look like that. The calculator don't work worth a damn. I try to see if it works. It don't work. It don't add 1 and 1. It's still wrong. But the point is that the thing is, if you go in, that's the first thing he's going to see. It's going to chase him. Well, she got a Pivo app that's just a calculator. Ain't nothing new. We've seen the fart apps and light apps and all that stuff. I put in my code, and then so when I put in my code, it'll bring me to the Pivo screen, the first one that I showed you on there. And so when you go into that screen, you have the drop-down box to list all the shelters. So that's right here. So this is where you list all the shelters. So it'll have the city, no address, only the name of the shelter, the phone number, and the reason why the shelters does not have an address is because by law, the abuser cannot know where the shelters are at. Because as you can see now where, you've seen these killings that going into the home, not homes, but businesses and government agency. Just imagine if their address was given at a shelter. This is what that was something that would happen. So Google cannot. So Google had made a couple of mistakes a couple of times where they had listed the address of the shelters, and they got their hands slapped from it. So you can go in there and Google and probably say Georgia domestic violence shelters, and they'll probably give you some telephone numbers for the national hotline. But there are websites you can go to, and they will list all the shelters. So my app does list all the shelters. So, like for example, Albany, Athworth, Athens, Atlanta. So Atlanta this one right here. This is something I had to add because I didn't even know about it. Help people and pets. So a lot of them shelters like Partnership Against Domestic Violence won't allow pets. And there's people who just have pets and children, or just have pets and they're homeless because of being victims of domestic violence. The law. Restraining orders. Okay, so you got restraining orders for family violence protection order, overview of civil and criminal law. Then you have what is the legal definition of Georgia and family violence. Then you have family violence protection order. What is a family violence protection order? Then you got what type of family violence protection order are available. This is all domestic violence, and it breaks it down. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's a website for that too. It's called womenlaw.org. Okay, and it lists every domestic violence law for each state. It's not in the app. It's on a website. So this is the challenges as a victim. So so if you go on a website, do a search, there's a cookie, knows where your history is, guess what? That she get abused. Just an excuse. I had one lawyer told me, so in Georgia, I believe in privacy. Seriously believe in privacy. I don't like nobody knowing what I'm doing on my phone, nothing like that. When I was doing the app, a lot of them wanted me to be able to allow, there were certain things I wanted to do with the app, like do a recording or take pictures. And I refused to do a recording because I didn't want them to save the recordings in some location like a server in my house for them. The police can come to my house to pull that data like they try to do with Apple. I was not going to have it. So the idea was for me to create the app to take pictures, to take video, and save it on their phone. But it has to be saved, encrypted in a certain area so that the abuser couldn't get it. So it got complicated. It really did, because seeing what domestic violence is happening right now, you just want to find a way to make it safe for them where it doesn't get worse than what they are in right now. It's more about the law here too. So there's more about the law. So you see, by listing the law per state, it helps educate the victims on what can or cannot be done with a lawyer or court. So, I know a friend of mine who was in a very crazy divorce situation because of abuse. And she did all her research, all her law research, everything. And she did all the paperwork because a lawyer was too expensive for her to even do it. So she found the right paperwork to do it. The good thing is that she was strong enough and willing enough to make sure that he didn't know where she was at for her to do all the paperwork to prevent him from bothering her, or like restraining orders. So staying safe. This is interesting. It's kind of hard because social media is everything. Everybody want to keep in contact with you on Facebook, Twitter. I don't know what the other stuff name is. Instagram. What's the other one them kids like? Yeah, that's some crazy stuff right there. I can't figure it out for the worth of the hell of me. So, and this just educating them on social media and staying safe. And the one thing is getting ready to leave part 1 and part 2. And that's like really, really the most important thing, is they have a list of stuff they have to get out of where they're at safely. And a lot of times it's money, because he only gives them a certain amount of money. So he said, you only got $100 to spend on food. So if she's smart, she'll spend $80 and take $20 and save it. But where are they going to put the money at? She can't put it in a wallet. She got to put it someplace where he can't find it. Can't open a bank account, because if she do, he's going to find out about it. So there was things that I try to think about. So for example, we have Cash App. There's Cash App. Cash App got a little card. You know what I'm saying? So she can actually, if he gives it to her in a debit card, you know what I'm saying, she may be able to slip the money in there some kind of way. But there's just so many different ways that you got to try to figure out how to keep them safe. And like I said, they have, like that's why the first app was called Purple Pocketbook. Because as a woman, we keep everything in our pocketbook. I got my Social Security card, birth certificate, passport, driver's license. I mean, everything I kept. And people ask me, well, what you carry in pocket? I carry everything, because I never know. Never know what's going to happen to me. I always have it with me. My husband still don't understand why I carry my passport with me, because I don't want to pull out my damn driver's license. Only if I'm driving, I pull it out. But it's just, that's what we do. We carry everything in there. So as far as staying safe, victims of domestic violence, this is an international solution. This is part of the app, just so you see how that works. So staying safe abusers during the violence. There's nowhere to escape. So this is what the app actually, the information of the app is in there. If you always have a phone, they have to be careful with what they can call on there. I was supposed to put, like in the app, like anonymous messaging, where you could just message somebody without him knowing, without it going into the regular iMessaging. It's just so much that goes with domestic violence. It's just crazy. It's very emotional too. Because when I did this app, I got really deep into the problem of the app, the problem of being a victim. And it was killing me, because it brought back a lot of memories of what my mother went through, and how I seen her get abused, and how I seen my mother got raped, how I seen my aunt got stabbed by her husband, and how with that happening, the mental problems that came across with it. So when doing this app, it brought a lot of emotion and a lot of things that I really, really wanted to forget about. Because a lot of stuff I blacked out. And so that was the biggest thing. So the quiz. So this is what the quiz looked like. Okay? So I'm going to take you through the quiz. So the quiz is going to start asking questions. So press start. Has he or she ever used a weapon against you, threatened you while in weapon? Does the partner behavior make you feel any way? You try to please your partner? Does your partner keep you from going out? Does he or she has a gun? They access it easily? So this is all the questions they have. So I think it's about 15 questions, I think it is. But I wanted you to see the questions that is being asked. Because this is the questions that they ask on a website. And then that's the score. So anything from 0 to 24, anything less is considered positive, or anything other than that. So no matter what your score, if you have concerns about you or your children's safety or any relationship you are in, you might find it helpful to join a support group. So these are things that a lot of us don't think about, and when you see the quiz, you just say, I know somebody that's probably in that situation, or that may be you in that situation, and that's something that you need to deal with. So what I learned a lot from doing this app. I learned that damn app is bigger than me. That was something that really killed me. Because I started building this app in 2014. And I mean, I tried everything. And the problem is that each state has domestic violence set up so crazy. So I can go to Wisconsin and I'm looking for a shelter and go to the website that's local in the states, and it's a spreadsheet. And you're like, what the hell? Why is it a spreadsheet? And then the numbers are all the same. And then the shelters, you got shelters in different names, but they all got the same numbers. That don't make no sense. So if I'm living in some place in Wisconsin that's in a different state, it's one telephone number. That right there is a problem, you know. And then when I actually put it on, put in the app, it took me several days with no help to try to get it in a certain format to fit into the app. So that took work. And then I realized is that even though Georgia was a lot more organized and a lot more easy and a lot more accessible, other states are not like that. A lot of other states are not like that. So it doesn't make it easy for a victim to get the necessary resource. I mean, honestly, truthfully, you can see why domestic violence, the numbers hasn't changed. And so being the only woman building the app, the problem is that when I built that app, there was victims reaching out to me when they downloaded the app, Android and iOS. I mean, there was a Hispanic woman whose husband was abusing her, and she called the police. Police deported him, and she was here with her children. And by that, and this is when Obama was in office, because Obama had put a law in, is that if you are a victim of domestic violence, you can seek asylum. That law is no longer in place. It's gone. So there was a lot of victims who were seeking asylum because their husband was so abusive to them, and that's how they were getting here with their children. And so I couldn't help them. All I could do was refer them to a shelter, or refer them to somebody who speaks their language who can help them to direct them to a shelter. I was a one-person team. Yeah, I sure was. I was me, myself, and I. I mean, that was one of the hardest things, because as an iOS developer, those who don't know, iOS developer, it can be challenging when I'm trying to figure out how to make a button. When you click on a telephone number, it should pop up with the number and dial a damn number. And you like sitting there, I'm sitting there for days, and you know, I walk away, oh God, and walk away. And then, not You could, as a one time, the only person who's doing this, I ain't had nobody to reach out to. I ain't had no mentor. I ain't had nobody who could say, okay, Alicia, just, this is the code you need. And I mean, I didn't have that. I didn't have that. I didn't know how to find that. I didn't know. At that time, I didn't even know Apple had a forum that can help you. Didn't know none of that. And I thought the people that was there to help me was not there to help me. They wasn't. And I mean, there was Atlanta iOS Developers Group, and I reached out to Joe DiCarlo, and Joe DiCarlo, he looked at my app, he loved the app, and he's like, Alicia, when you press that button, it should dial a number. And at that time, I didn't think about it. And I didn't think about the asking, well, can you help me? No, I was like, okay, I'll just search the code on Google, and that'll be it. No, that didn't work that long. Well, that took a little while. But when I finally did figure it out, I stopped crying. It was the whole thing. Another thing was being told by other developers that my code was shit, that app was not supposed to work. And I didn't understand what they mean it didn't work. I seriously didn't. I mean, it was working on the simulator. It was working on my phone. And they were saying your code is all wrong, and it's supposed to be this way, and it shouldn't be working. And so it devastated me, because I never thought about something not working, because at the moment it was working and it was doing its job, which is helping other people, giving them the necessary resources. And in 2015, I was at Apple, and I got a scholarship for Apple, and I met a good friend. I met somebody who became a very, very good friend of mine, and he told me, and I was crying to him. I said, they said my app is not working right. They said it shouldn't be working. It's all messed up. The code is all messed up. And he just stopped me, and he said, is your app in iTunes? Yeah, it's in iTunes. If people download it, yeah, they download it. Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to do. He said, fuck them. And that's when I realized then that I was a developer. Then I was told I was an engineer. And that's when I realized that I did something that and I mean, he's like, you gotta understand, these people, they sit behind a desk. He said they ain't never built an app before in their life. They doing other people's app. They haven't done that. You done something that none of these people has ever done. And he said you need to stop worrying about what they think and keep on doing what you're doing. So that was something that I learned too. I also learned that a lot of these nerds in the tech community don't know shit about domestic violence. Don't know nothing. Interview with some. So what did your app do? Excuse me? What does it do? What do you mean? Did you download it and check it out? Or it helps help people who are victims of domestic violence get out of their situation safely. And every time I talk to a man in tech community that did not know, and there's a large percentage of y'all that don't know, I had to explain to them. And I have so many people that helped me with the app still didn't understand, and I had to explain to them. Until there's some of them that knew what it was and have been there and understood it. So that was one thing that was kind of difficult, because I didn't trust males with the app until I realized there was a lot of men that didn't know shit about domestic violence. So I felt all right then. I like, oh, y'all just a bunch of nerds. Y'all already know what it is. Get your ass whipped, so it's all right, I have to say, in the state of Georgia, I did a couple of sessions with the law enforcement here in Georgia. Georgia has a domestic violence task force. Each county has a task force. I went all the way to Valdosta, Georgia, and talked to their task force. Not here in Atlanta. Have yet to talk to anybody in Atlanta about my damn app. They use my app. Then it's not available no more on Android, but it is still available on iOS. Google took it off because it was something that I need to verify. I said, fuck y'all, I ain't gonna do all that shit. I'm tired right now. So I realized the power of, because they said the law enforcement said they didn't have none of the resources when a victim, if they're in front of a victim, they don't have the resources to tell them, okay, this is where you need to go. They didn't have none of the resources for that. So I had the app was such a great resource for them, because they were saying they could get on the app and they can actually send them to shelters. They was actually sending them to shelters using my app, which was really cool. I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I see somebody that's really working. And then somebody put on Apple's comments that they actually, a good friend of mine's boyfriend, daughter, was a victim of domestic violence. She downloaded the app and gave her all the necessary resource to help her get out of the situation she was at. And that was great to hear that, because when you create something, especially as for social cause, you never know that was going to be something that was going to change somebody's life. So that was amazing. So this is why I built the app. So for those people who don't know who I am, 2015, Apple acknowledged me at the keynote. They took a picture of me and said, a black, not a black woman, but woman who created an app to stop domestic violence. That was a picture. So when the keynote opened up, they had all these live people pictures, all that stuff, and I was like I was the first black woman, and I'm gonna say it, yes, I was the first damn black woman Apple put on the goddamn screen. That was 2015. Now 2016, it got bigger. So Apple decides to put me in their video. I'm gonna see if it plays. Let's see. Oh, wait. Okay, how do I get it to the beginning? No, it's not going. All right, let's see. It's still going to the end. How do I? So it's not sound, no sound. All right, let's do it this way. Let's stop this. Let's go to Safari. Let's see if it comes up. I have it somewhere in here. But Apple did a video. I wasn't there. Remember that? I wasn't. So when I did this damn video, Apple done told me I done signed my damn life away. Couldn't tell no damn body, not even the people at goddamn Apple. I was so mad. Come on now. I'm surprised the video ain't coming up. Can you help me, darling? Somebody can help me? I thought he was here.
What do you need?
Yeah, I got it working. No, but it's still coming to the end. It's not going to the beginning. Let me see. I have so many let me see. I got another presentation. Let's see. Let me see if it comes up on this one. Yeah, this is my other one. This is my international presentation. Yeah, this is my international presentation. So this is the one I do all over the world. Oh, it didn't show up? Why isn't that showing up?
You got the screen mirrored?
And do I got it mirrored? See, you would tell me, Jen.
Here, I'll help you, because you need to show this. This is your presentation?
Yeah,
right?
let's do this one. Let's play.
Play. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. It's not coming up. You ain't gonna hear me laugh. See, that's messed up. So you see how I look in there? I'm about 100 pounds heavier. I'm 100 pounds lighter now. That's me walking in my neighborhood. That's the app. That's my daughter right there. It's a short in it. See Marissa? So she was the youngest black girl in the video. Then there was another child younger than her, but she's the youngest black girl. That me dancing my husband. That me laughing. She got a letter from Obama, Michelle and Barack Obama, for her being in technology. They're my family. See, it's supposed to say my sound. See? I want everybody to come to me and it's like, yeah, I'm this awesome damn developer. And that you come to me and I'm like, I can fix this, like, bam, 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 damn. Like, yeah, you can do this. Ah, ha, 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 ha. That's what's messed up. Man, you should have heard. That was like the reason why Apple did that part. They basically took that last part and then they said this is going to be the ending, and then they add everything else. That was the first thing they added, and then they add everything else in front of it, because they said my laughter. Every time they had did the redo the keynote, they always laughed at my laughter. So, and then GitHub did something with me the following year, and so that's why I'm here right now. But I normally that's the first time doing the talk about how I created the app, because a lot of people just don't understand the challenge in building a social app. You got to do something to change the world. Be prepared that there's going to be challenges, seriously. And it's not going to be good ones, and people are going to fight you on, and people's going to make you feel like shit. But if you know that you're doing something good, that you feel that you could change the world, you can't let nobody stop you from doing it. And that's what it's basically all about. Making a change and saving the world. I always believe I can save the world. Wonder Woman. I love this. And yes, nobody's going to get this shirt because you can't find it anywhere. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. I will show you the next one, but I don't think I got time.